This week, we're learning about the power of athletes starting their own podcast. We talk with former NFL player Jamil Douglas on how he started his podcast for the Underdogs. We talk to him about getting drafted in the 4th round to the Dolphins and his NFL playing career. Then we talk to him about how he started his podcast and some lessons he's learned along the way, and how he's using his podcast to help people be the best version of themselves. This is a great episode if you want to learn how to create your own podcast, or if you want to learn from a former NFL player. Let's go check out this week's episode of the Brolletts. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to tell you all about Arete Shades. This is the sunglass brand that I started with my dad 2 years ago. And to thank you for watching this episode, we want to give away a free pair of Arete Shades. All you have to do is leave a comment with the code word Underdogs on this video. We'll pick the coolest, most unique comment, and you'll win a free pair of Arete Shades. And even if you don't win, you get 2 pairs just for $49 right now. Just head to areteshades.com and pick out your favorite pair today. Now let's jump into this week's episode of The Brolletts. We're filming this during my spring break. I know you had a spring break with your daughter last week. How was spring break and what were you guys up to?
Oh man, spring break was good. It was good. We had a good time, had to keep her busy for sure. She's at the age where she doesn't stay still for very long. So, we did a couple fun things, aquarium, science museum, we just kept her busy and enjoyed the time with her. It's hard to keep a toddler busy, but we accomplished it for sure.
I love that. I mean, I'm sure you've heard it from everyone, but it goes fast, man. He's 12 on spring break, and I'm like, man, I've only got a couple of these left. So you want to make every moment count and, spend that time. And I think that's amazing. Before we hit record, I was saying that I came across you in the podcast from the PACT Pro Athlete community. I just want to talk about, man, this seems like a super cool group. How did you get connected with them? What's it been like, not just working with them, but also being surrounded by peers who are you guys are all going through the same thing, like trying to figure out what's next and what do we do? And there's so many opportunities and a lot of identity changes. And so what's that group been like for you? And what's it like being around guys that are all trying to figure it out?
Yeah, for sure. So I got connected to PAC through my guy, Caleb Thornhill, who he was the director of player engagement when I was drafted to the Miami Dolphins. And his story is crazy because now he's with the Spurs now, but he also is one of the co-founders of PAC. So he had invited me out. It's crazy. He had invited me out 2 years ago. This was when I just got done playing. And I was so nervous to go because I didn't have anything that I was working on outside of just retiring, like just getting done playing. So I was a little insecure. And, I was just like, yeah, maybe next time, basically. Yeah, next time we'll figure it out. And so it came around. They came to Arizona a couple weeks ago, and he invited me, and I went, and it was probably one of the best things I've done. It's like you said, it's a bunch of guys that are aiming for something more than just the sport. They're looking for what they do well outside of the game, and it's a contagious energy in that room. You get to hear from so many great speakers and people that is really dope. So I'm grateful that I did make the decision to go because I do think it's introduced me to a lot of people that have just helped me in so many different ways. So it's been great.
Tell us about your draft story, going 4th round to the Dolphins. What was that day and process like for you?
Oh man. It was a little stressful. It was a little stressful for sure. I think looking back on it, I would change the fact that I had all this pressure that I had put on myself about getting drafted, as opposed to just enjoying the process. Just understanding that you're making a childhood dream become a reality instead of oh, I need to get drafted. I need to get drafted. I would have just let that go. But yeah, my draft day was a little crazy. So obviously I got picked in the 4th round. That's on the 3rd day, I think. I was expected to go within the 3rd or 4th round. So, you're waiting around, 3rd round goes, and then the draft is over on that day as far as all the picks for the 3rd round. And I remember being super frustrated because I hadn't gotten picked yet. And then, the next day rolls around. I go to my college O-line coach's house, have breakfast with him, and he's kind of putting some things into perspective for me. Like, hey, this is just how it goes. Like, you just need one person to call you. So I'm being dramatic at the end of it. But it's crazy because Miami called me and they drafted me. I had never spoken to them pre-draft. I didn't know that they were interested. I thought I would be going to either the Colts or the Lions. Um, and so yeah, it was one of those things that you just can't predict. You just don't know. And it's my first experience doing it, so now I have a bunch of wisdom around it, and it was a blessing, considering where I am now. So, but the draft day is hectic.
Hectic and nervous and stressful.
Man, it's stressful. You get nervous. Like, you don't know. There's people calling your phone, and it's not the NFL team, just like your friends wanting to know what's up. So every time your phone rings, it's like, this was before you had the do not disturb option on your phone. So, like, you can't just silence it for certain people. But yeah, it was hectic, man. But it was a great experience, and I try to reflect on it in a positive way now.
How do you look back on your football career? What are you most proud of, and what will you remember about your time in the league?
Ooh, that's a good question. It took me some time. It took me some time to like really be able to reflect on my career in a positive way. Like, there was some shortcomings, I think, for sure, just because of the way the cards got played, but that is what it is. I think I am grateful for my NFL career. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful. I think I can say that I maximized on every opportunity I had. Did I play well all the time? No, I didn't play well all the time, but I'm sure there's a lot of guys that could say that. It's just one of those things. I'm appreciative of my NFL career. I think probably the highlights that I can remember, obviously being on the team with the Patriots where we won the Super Bowl. Um, the years I spent with the Titans where we led the league in rushing with Derrick Henry, and we went to the AFC Championship. Like, those are all like really core memories of, like, when you look back, it was like we were working really hard, and it was actually paying off, and it was like, a moment to remember. So uh, I I reflect a lot on my NFL career. I think the one thing that I would have told myself is to, like, don't don't waver in the process. Like, when you do have these hard times or these hard situations, or you may get benched or you may get cut, like, don't get so down on yourself. Just go right back to it, and just keep going. That would be the one thing I would have told myself in the moment. But I mean, I ended up doing that, but I didn't tell myself to do it. So I wish I had told myself, because who knows what it would have been like.
Yeah, great advice, great reminder, and sounds like you had a pretty good career. Again, it's one of those things like, you wanted to go third round, went fourth, played a bunch of years, but like you did what millions of kids want to do, right? And we all know the numbers, right? Like we're more so in the baseball world, but the number of kids who play little league, who then play high school ball, who then play college ball, who then play the minor, like the number is this big, right? Like it's such a small percentage, and to say, you got to do that is something that you should be proud of. Sounds like you are proud of. And now making this transition, and a big reason why we wanted to talk to you today is we're really in the mindset of we want to help more athletes to create content, to have that voice, and to share some of those experiences with others. And you've done that. You guys both got the hats on today for the Underdogs, and you did it through a podcast, man. And so let's lead this off with, like, why a podcast? What made you get started and launch it? Because I bet it might have been a voice in your head being like, hey, you should do this, you don't do this, there's procrastination, there's doubts, there's all these things. What made you want to start it and get it to I guess the starting line, not the finish line?
Yeah, for sure. I think with the podcast, man, for me, it was like I said, I was in a place after I got done playing of just trying to figure out what I enjoyed, trying to get to that place of like what makes me happy outside of football. Who am I outside of football? Because I had done it for so long in my life that it kind of just becomes who you are naturally. And so for the podcast, it was like, I was going through therapy. I was speaking to a lot of people about their experience. And throughout that, I was always getting told, man, you should speak more on this. Like, you need to talk more about the transition that athletes have getting out of their game. And so that's really where it came from. It was like, okay, me and my wife went to the drawing board, and it's like, how do we, what platform can we create? And, we come up with the term for the underdogs. Like, it just so happens that for the underdogs, meaning, like, to me, is like my whole career story. Like, I believe that I was an underdog. I believe that I stand for underdogs. So it's like, it just worked out perfect. And it's been like I told you guys, it's been great because so many people have reached out and just been like, man, I appreciate you doing this, or this episode really helped me. And so that's impactful to me at the end of the day.
That's awesome.
What are some things you learned about yourself and who you are through recording the first 2 seasons?
Oh man, I'm sure you guys know. It's like you have to get over that not liking the sound of your voice. You have to get over you have to get over looking at yourself in camera. Like, everything that I had never been a part of as far as being an offensive lineman, you don't really get a bunch of those type of, things. And so it was a learning curve for me, man. It was tough. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So listening back to myself, if I stumbled, if I didn't hit the point I wanted to hit, I was really hard on myself. And I was like, at that point, I'm like, nah, don't do it. Like, don't release the episode. Just like, I'll redo it again. But it's taught me to just accept. It's taught me to just accept everything as far as like what I'm saying. People are gonna understand if they're listening to it. Like, accept your imperfections throughout the, like, no one's perfect, no one's nailing it every time. you know it's just taught me it's just taught me to give myself grace too at the end of the day. Like, and I think a lot of people can apply that as well, like giving themselves grace. People fall short of things, people don't get things the way they want. Like, give yourself some grace, and no one's knocking it out the park every time. So there's a process. And I think that's another thing it's taught me, is like, there's a process to getting better and learning something new. And that's how I look at the podcast. Like, if you look at my first episode to where I am now, the jump is crazy just in speaking in general. So it's like, just understand that you're going through that process, and in perspective, everything will be fine.
Yeah, it's crazy. Doing the thing helps you to get better at the thing, right? I think that's piece one. Piece two, I've been on TV or radio for 20 years now. I still hate my own voice, and I don't watch my tape back, right? Like, that's 20 years, and I still don't. So you're not alone there. It doesn't get easier. But the good news is the person on the other side, who's listening or watching, is never like, oh man, I don't like his voice, or I don't like we've never said that, right? It's just, but we get in our own head about our own.
It's our internal dialogue, man. Like, we can talk ourselves out. Like, I almost talked myself out of even starting a podcast. Like, we can do that so many times, that you almost, like, when I came to that point, it's like, okay, I'm actually gonna take over and do it. Like, and I'm gonna listen back to it because my mind's telling me don't do it. I'm gonna do it and get over the hump. So it's definitely in our own minds 90% of the time.
It totally is. I want to talk about you chose a cool road for your podcast, right? It's not a traditional sports podcast. You're not up there talking X's and O's about last week's games, things like that. It's really like a personal development show, but told from a football player's perspective. And I think that whether that was intentional or not, but I think that's so smart. It's more of what's needed out there in the world. Why was that kind of the angle that you chose to go with? Is it more just what you were talking about earlier with the therapy and, the conversations you were having? But I think it was really smart, the lane you chose for your podcast, as opposed to just being another Monday morning show where you're talking about what happened over the weekend.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that because that was intentional for sure. To me, and it's not to knock anybody that's doing the Monday morning recaps from what happened in sports. To me, I just wanted my platform to have substance. And, it's easy for me to sit up here and talk about sports all day. Like I could do that easily, but there's so many other people doing that. And so I'm like, okay, what's going to set myself apart from people that are doing it is the fact that you're going to come to my platform and hear real conversations and, you know, real things that you can apply to your life. And yeah, there will be some sports talk because I spent so much time playing sports. Like we'll have a little bit of that, but the core of my podcast is self-development, self-help, like because that's what I'm passionate about. There may be a day when I get to talking about sports and things like that, but I wanted a challenge. I wanted something that was going to hold myself accountable because if you're up there talking about your journey, there is some accountability within that as well. So it was strategic in a way of just, I know so many people are doing it and I want to set myself apart and actually challenge myself to talk about topics that I think a lot of people need to hear. And that's where we went with it.
I think it's smart also from the sense of on the other side. So I come from the personal development world, right? Like I've been in that world forever. The Zig Ziglars of the world, the Jack Canfields, the Chicken Soup for the Souls, the Tony Robbinses. And the interesting thing that now you bring into that world is, there's so many people talking about personal development, self-help, whatever that it is, but not from your perspective. Not from, I'm an NFL vet and I did this and I did that. And I mind like, that's the door opener there, right? And so they might listen to your show because they're like, well, I played college ball. I need help. I'm not like this guy, right? But I'm kind of like Jamil. Like, so there's a really cool opportunity there for people that need what you're talking about, but maybe there's someone that doesn't talk like them or have the experiences that they do, or they won't give them the time. They're like, all right, you're a 75-year-old white dude with like, I don't relate to you, but I played ball or I did this. And so I'm more willing to listen to you talk about those things because we can relate, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that's one of the big things as well is like people are able to relate, and I'm at an age where I can kind of speak both languages. Like I've had people from who are 55, 60-year-old, white men, and then I've had the young 15, 16, 17-year-old that's listening to it. So it's like being able to speak both languages and understand that like there's a certain crowd that I'm going for when it comes to these topics. It's not meant for everybody. I understand everybody doesn't want to hear me talk about my journey and whatnot, but the people that are there for a reason, and that's why it's special, I think, because they're there because they want to hear these topics being spoken about. And I understand that that may be a slower climb or whatever, but we need more of it. Like that's just what it is. We don't have enough of it, in my opinion.
What's been the hardest part about having a podcast that you didn't expect going in?
Everything. Man, there's so much that goes into it that I think people don't see. They see the finished product, and like, if you take it serious, which you guys do, like, there's notes that come in with it. There's doing your research. There's your intros. There's how you want to present yourself. There's so many like factors that play into it that like when I first started, I wasn't as sharp on. And as I've gotten better, like, I do my research. I make sure I'm practicing a day or two before. Like, those are just like, that's just like ingrained in me from, who I am. But there's just so many little things. And I think the little things matter in terms of having a good podcast, a great podcast. Like, those things kind of, people notice those things, you know? So, um, yeah, man, I'm always constantly learning. Like I've now started like editing my own shows as far as, audio and and doing some of my own clips and things like that. So I'm constantly learning, constantly trying to evolve, and just like that's been the most enlightening part, to be honest. Like I've taught myself a lot since starting the actual podcast. So it's been cool.
What's been the best part that you maybe didn't expect going in?
The best part has been being introduced to people, man. Like and hearing people say, "Hey, I checked out this episode. This was really good," or you know, "Hey, can you explain this episode to me a little bit more? I want to talk, further in depth with you about it." That's been the best part, like the connection that you have with people through your platform, because it means that they took the time to like actually look into your stuff and enjoy your stuff. So that's been the best part, just connection with people, and knowing that people are actually listening to it has been cool.
You do a lot of solo episodes. How do you prep for this? You sound so good in them, and how did that happen?
Oh man, I appreciate that. First off, that's really dope. The solo episodes for me are like my those are my baby. Like those are the ones that I, not to say that the ones with guests I don't, enjoy, but like my solo episodes really kind of hit from a standpoint of like internally what I've dealt with and who I am. So uh I really enjoy doing my solo episodes because when I listen to them back, it's almost like therapy for me. So um I enjoy my solo episodes. The prep that goes into it, man. I'm big on the notes app on my iPhone. Always typing my notes, and it's really just like me kind of bullet pointing the topics I want to touch on. From there, though, like I'll get in the episode and I'll just kind of whatever is on the phone, like I'll elaborate more, and just go like that. I think sometimes there can be almost too much prep. Like I've done it to where I want to read it word for word and it doesn't come out organically or authentically the way I want it to. And so I'll just bullet point it and then I'll talk through it based on the bullet points, and it comes out, it just flows better in my opinion, and it allows me to really draw from my own experience as opposed to just what I was feeling when I typed it in my app, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And figuring out what works for you, right? Because some people might like it fully scripted out. You figured out the bullet points work really well. And again, that's trial and error. That's listening to tape back. That's, and also a lot of it's a feeling too, right? Like if I don't feel good about what I just recorded, the person listening isn't either. So that
Absolutely.
authenticity is super important.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm sure, yeah, like you just said it. It's the authenticity around it is important, and I want it to feel good when I'm done doing it, like I don't think that I do well when I read off of it word by word because it sounds like I'm reading it word by word. I want it to sound like a conversation. I want it to sound like I'm speaking from my experience. So that's what I've shifted to, but it is a learning experience because you don't know until you do it that whether it works for you or not.
Some of your episodes have been audio only. What's your setup for those, and how do you go about recording, editing, and posting them?
Yeah, no, for sure. So I mean, typically right here, I'm doing my audio. I may change location in a room or whatever if I feel like I need to. That's just based off feel. But I I record right here for most of my audio episodes. I like the audio episodes. I like being able to just be in my element and talk through the mic. Like for myself, for my solo episodes, I enjoy that. Like I don't like being um I just think, I don't know, it just makes me feel like much more, I don't know what the word is. I just feel good doing it. So but yeah, I edit them. I do all the, production around it, and I learned how to put my intro outro on them. So Like I told you guys, I'm constantly like trying to evolve and learn through that. But um, then I just upload them. Buzzsprout. Like I don't know what you guys use,
So we
but
use same thing.
yeah, yeah, I use Buzzsprout and it just shoots it out to the platforms, and I let them handle it. That's been a lifesaver. I can't imagine having to go to each and every platform and upload. So Buzzsprout has been great.
Love that. On the other side, it looks like you've done some studio stuff that looks really great. And so I know you just had one of your buddies on there. Brooks was on there. Ryan, like some other guys. What are you doing for that? Are you renting a studio out there? Is that at the house? Like what are you doing on that side?
So yeah, the studio is not too far from my house. It's actually crazy how I found the studio. Uh, One of my buddies knew I was like transitioning out of another studio, and he's like, "Hey, I was touring this building, and they had this place downstairs that looked like it was a studio." And he was like, "You should go over there." So this is not me at all. Like I don't just pull up and go somewhere and knock on the door. But this time I did. I knocked on the door and there was nobody there, but the door opened, and so I walked in. I'm like, "Hey, I heard there's like a podcast studio downstairs." "Oh yeah, I'll show you." So he goes down there, opens the door, and it's like this whole setup. Like it couldn't be any more perfect than what it is. And so um it's just worked out. Taylor, the guy who works there, has been great. He's really talented in what he does and gives a lot of good pointers on the podcast, and he's just like a creative mind, so I enjoy working with him. And we just made it home. Like we have an office space there, and so we've just made it home, and it feels like when you see for the underdogs, that's the home for it. So it's been great. I am big on like the vibe of where I shoot my podcast needs to be right, and it needs to be a place where I feel like I can be creative and feel like things are flowing easily, and that place checks all the boxes. So happy I found it. It's right down the street from me, so I could get there in 5 minutes if I had to. So I love it. I've been loving it.
That's really cool. The other side, and maybe you could talk me through it, but like when we rent out studios and stuff for some of the stuff that I do, I love the fact that I can show up, everything's done, and I just get to have a conversation with my guest. And it takes a lot of the pressure off from like, is this camera set up right? Or the mic's working? Like, I don't have to think about any of that. I'm just like, all right, cool. Let's just focus on having a great conversation. And you can just be more in the moment. And, like you said, like you got a great guy over there. Like if you could trust him, that takes so much pressure off of the podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Because you want to be able to just focus on what you're doing. Like if you have to worry about if someone is recording the right angle, or if this camera's on, or if the audio is fine, like that takes away from you being able to be authentic in that moment. And so I've appreciated the fact that like every time I'm there, it's set up. There's no technical difficulties or anything. It's just been really easy to work with him. So yeah, if you find someone that you trust and they work well with you guys mesh well together, then you gotta just ride that out.
What's your vision for the podcast moving forward? Do you see it playing a part in something bigger?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. You got some good questions, man. I would say for me, I'm now transitioning into like I want to do some keynote speaking, and I think the podcast has been a great platform for me to practice all of these things. Like my vision is to continue to build the community of for the underdogs, and allow it to be a place where people can come to listen to the podcast and like throw events around for the underdogs. Like that's my vision for it. But I think bigger than what like just being in a podcast studio, for me it's speaking on stages. So that's what I'm focused on now. I'm in a speaking academy through the pro athlete community, directed by a man named Sean Hart, who's been really cool and just like teaching you how to cultivate your story. And so that's why I haven't shot the episode in a little bit on the podcast, because I've been so focused on this speaking academy. It takes all of my time right now, but it's all right. It's all right. But we'll get back to shooting the podcast. I was actually, creating one yesterday that I really want to talk about. So yeah, my vision, man, is to keep pushing the podcast, keep pushing the community, but also get on stage. I want to speak on stage to some people and tell them my story, and and help build a community around that.
I'm glad that was your answer, because that's, in my eyes, like that's what I see is like, all right, the podcast is great because it starts to build the base, it starts to build community. The other side, and you've talked about it, is it kind of allows you just to, lack of a better word, like word vomit a whole bunch of topics and get these ideas out there so that you can say, all right, this one didn't really hit. This one hit a little bit. When I told this story, man, it was like, and now when you go to the keynote side, you put those pieces together. You have different for different audiences. There's a coaching program probably on the back of this. There's, I mean, that's the model, right? Like that's the expert model is, build the audience and then build programs, build the keynote. So I'm glad you said that was the answer, because that's what I saw when I originally saw the podcast was like, man, the topics that he's hitting on, there's a monthly membership program, there's community, there's speaking, it might be overwhelming to think about all those things and putting it all together. But the good news is there is a path for that, right? And there's also guys in the NFL that have done it, like Anthony Trucks that's out there, and some of these other guys that have built really big businesses in this space. So the good news is it doesn't mean you have to follow their path, but at least there is a path for that next step.
And it's crazy because when I started the podcast, like that wasn't my vision at first. And then as you continue to build it and continue to see where other people have taken it, and it grows and it grows, it's like, oh yeah, this is a real possibility, and this is something that you can do. So, yeah, man, that's really what I'm focused on. I'm focused on pushing the brand up for the Underdogs, and by that I mean the podcast and all the things that we're gonna start doing behind it, and then get on stage. I wanna get on stage and actually break the ice on stage a little bit. So a little nervous about it, but hey, that's a good thing.
It's a good nervous energy, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Why don't more NFL players create content while playing or during the off season? How cool would it have been to start this while you're still playing?
Man, that's one of my I don't want to say regrets, but it is one of my regrets is that I didn't start this while I was playing. I think within the game of football, like there are some guys that are able to do it. Vast majority of guys though have to focus on just the game. And I was one of those guys. Like I'm just calling a spade a spade. Like I spent my time training, I spent my time studying, learning a new playbook. Like I just didn't, and maybe I did, but I didn't feel like I had the ability to focus on something else outside of football. So, I mean, I think we're seeing it now. I mean, you got guys like Micah Parsons and, the St. Browns, all these guys that are doing the podcast, but also those guys are like the top 1% of their position. Like they're freaks, So it's almost easy for them to just do what they need to do as well as do a podcast. Not saying that they don't put in hard work, because of course they do, but I just think a lot of guys are focused on the game, man. I think a lot of guys are in the phase of like, I can do that post career. I want to maximize on what I'm doing right now. And I was one of those guys. I was just like, to me, I had to be locked in, or I didn't feel like I was putting my best foot forward. So I didn't want anything to become a distraction. And I also wasn't at a place of wanting to speak on the things that I'm speaking about. So it happened organically, and it happened when it was supposed to. So I try not to look at it as a regret, because I do believe that the timing of it is perfect. So
It's a great answer, great honest answer. And I think that's a challenge for a lot of people, is that some, and look, content isn't for everybody either, right? Like not everybody should be on a mic or in front of a camera.
Yeah.
It is a commitment. And now obviously you're seeing the work, but there's also something to, you're at the peak of your influence and popularity while you still have the uniform on, while you say, you know what? No, I play for the Dolphins, or I play for the Texans, or like whatever that it is. There's power to that. There's influence to that. That's not quite the same that says I used to play for the Dolphins. It's still cool, but there is a difference.
100%. And that's the thing that I think I regret a little bit, is like, yeah, you could have maximized on where you were, in doing it. I will also say, like, podcasting, I feel like got really popular around COVID. Like, it really took off around that time. I mean, I played like 2 or 3 more years post COVID. So like, I think I like got into it at the right time, but I missed that like beginning phase of everyone starting it. So, yeah, I would definitely advise guys, like, now I would say figure out a way that you can set aside some time in the day, in the off season, to record some content, whether it's a day in the life type of stuff, or it's, you want to do a podcast, like just get in front of a mic and kind of start getting that stuff out there, because it is something that can be taken advantage of while you're still playing.
We're seeing it today. There's a ton of player-led media where it's the players owning the podcast, the players talking. The other thing that I think is really cool about this is it's not just the starting quarterbacks, right? Like if I look at like who I listen to on a media side, you got a center, right? The Kelseys, you got a punter, McAfee, you got a safety with Ryan Clark. And so it's really cool. Like the busting with the boys guys, like those aren't marquee positions. We just had Chris Gronkowski, Gronk's younger brother, on, who was a fullback, and just like, it's a really cool era that you don't have to be the quarterback to have a voice. Like you can be someone who played O-line for, a bunch of years in the league. And all of a sudden, if you take that first step, you take that initiative, you can create something beautiful. And, like now you're building the next part of your life, the next part of your journey, the next part of your career. And you weren't the starting quarterback, right? And I think it's a really cool time to be a part of player-led media.
For sure. Yeah, I think like you said, like the crazy part is everyone has great stories that, you don't have to be the starting quarterback for people to want to hear from you. Like, and I think that was a piece of me that had to like grow, is like, oh, I'm thinking no one's going to want to hear this or that because you're not, this person or that person. That's a lie. Like there are people out there that want to hear from you, and you don't have to be the quarterback. It's I think professional athletes have a unique experience because they go through a lot of different phases of life, and there's people that want to hear about that, and people that want to like tune into your story. So yeah, you don't have to be the quarterback, man, but you do have to start. Like you said, there has to be, I'm going to start this, and you have to see it through, because there are a ton of different emotions that come with it when you start and you're in episode 3 or episode 4. You're like, why am I doing this? Like, you just have to start and see it through.
If you had unlimited resources to build your media company and your personal brand, what would you do to level up and build a media empire?
You know what? I would structure it around how like Uninterrupted is. Have you guys, you know who Uninterrupted is? Like LeBron James.
LeBron's crew. Yep. The shop and all. Yep.
Yeah, the shop and all. I would structure it like that. Like for me, building a media empire for me would look like obviously a huge office, like, but a place where athletes can come and tell their stories, make it beneficial to athletes. I think a lot of times, like, people see athlete tagged to someone and they want to charge them more. They want to, max out on, hey,
Take advantage. Yeah.
yeah, take advantage. And it's just like, why? Like, like let these guys kind of come in here and tell these stories. But Yeah, you got me thinking. I need a building that says for the underdogs on it now. it would be pretty dope. But yeah, I would structure it like how LeBron has kind of done uninterrupted because I love the vibe of that. I love the creativity behind it, and I just love that it just seems like a good place where athletes can go and share their stories. So um, we're gonna build an empire around for the underdogs for sure. We're doing it.
Yes, you are, man. I see it. And that's a great answer. I think he's built a safe space for athletes to come in and be themselves and share their stories, which isn't always true in the media, right? Like you hold back or you don't want that reporter to get that one thing that's going to cause a disturbance in the locker room. And I think they've done a great job of allowing athletes to be themselves, and feel comfortable being themselves. So I think that's really powerful. Let's run in. This is the last piece. We can get you back to your family. So Cole put together some really fun rapid fire questions. A little about the career, a little about what you want to do. So I'll let him put you under the pressure here. 2-minute drill, rapid fire.
Let's do it, Cole.
What's your favorite NFL moment?
Derrick Henry breaking the rushing record.
It's a good one.
Who's your dream podcast guest?
I love Mel Robbins. I don't know if y'all know who Mel Robbins is. I love Mel. So, like, I would love to talk to her.
I would love to see that conversation. I would love to see that. That'd be so good.
Yeah, the dynamics are so different, but I would love to just sit down and talk to her. So, Mel Robbins.
What a cool answer. Was not expecting that. That's a good one.
What's your favorite pregame meal?
Pre-game meal, I'm going with, I used to get some sort of pasta, typically pesto with like chicken, some mushrooms in it, throw some garlic on there. Uh, and then I would also pack like a sandwich. I would take a sandwich from the hotel to the facility as well, just to hit that before we go out. So it would be pasta and some sort of sandwich.
Who's an NFL player you wish had a podcast?
I would like to hear from Lamar Jackson a little more. Like we see him on the podium and things like that, but like I would like to hear from his perspective some of the things that he do. There's always doubters with Lamar Jackson. He continues to be great, continues to wow us all the time, and he's on the brink of doing it. It just hasn't happened yet. So I would love to hear like his mindset of just getting back to that point. How does he fire himself back up to go and do it another year? So I would say Lamar Jackson.
Who's your favorite teammate that you've learned a lot from?
Ben Jones, man, my man Ben Jones. He played at the University of Georgia. Uh, I played with Ben when I was with the Titans, and he was just a great guy, man. Like taught me a lot of different things about the game of football, how he sees things. He was a center, so like obviously I was, a center as well. And we just I don't know, we still talk to this day. I would say Ben Jones. I had the closest like relationship with Ben throughout my playing career, and he's been a great dude.
What's the best piece of advice you've gotten from a coach that still sticks with you today?
I would say in terms of performance, my college O-line coach, Chris Thompson, used to always tell me like, we watch a ton of film on the guys you're gonna play. Like we know what their moves are, we know everything that they're doing, but like don't forget that they have to play you too. Like you're not just playing them every time you're on the field. Like they have to play you. So that shifted my mindset into like actually like being like going and getting it. Like instead of being on the like the rebound, like now no, you got to play me as well, and we'll go from there. So that was something because a lot of times as a young player you overthink it a little bit. So for him to say that at that pivotal time in my career in college, like I think that shifted my mindset in getting me to the NFL.
Great mindset, and that takes you off the hot seat, man. Great answers, love that. We're gonna point a ton of people to For the Underdogs. Obviously, all the podcast places, your Spotify's, your Apple's, YouTube channel as well. Anything else? I know, we're going to be looking for that first speaking gig coming up, but anything else you're working on or anything else fun that we want to point people to as we wrap up here today?
Man, nah, that's what it is, man. I appreciate you guys for having me. I appreciate you guys pointing some attention for the underdogs. I'm working on the speaking stuff. I'll have a new episode on the podcast page within the next week or so. And yeah, once I finish the speaking academy, man, I'm hopeful that, some of those opportunities will start popping up. So I appreciate you guys, man. I love that Colt is wearing the For the Underdogs hat. That's big time. So I appreciate y'all.
Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate you sharing the journey and what you're up to. And we couldn't be more excited for what's ahead because there's a whole nother career that's ahead. And the cool thing is you could do this one for the next 30, 40 years. And it means so much when you're helping people. Like you said, man, you get that one text message, that one DM that's like, that episode helped me. It changed my life. It opened a door for me that I didn't know before. I mean, even just like when I show him some of the DMs that we get, and it's just like, keep going. Like I watch it, like it's just, there's something cool about that. It's not the same as being in the locker room. It's not the same as being in the huddle, but it's cool to know that you can make an impact in other ways.
100%. Yeah. And that's where I'm at. I found that being impactful this way has been much more fulfilling as opposed to that feeling of being in the huddle. Like if I can help somebody deal with something that they've been dealing with, that to me is like, it unlocks another level in my mind, like, oh wow, you really can do this. Like, so yeah, man, being impactful is where it's at. So I'm completely on board with that, and I appreciate that. That means a lot because there is a lot of emotions that you'll experience throughout podcasting. But when you do get those messages to keep going and keep doing your thing, like those are the ones that you got to pay attention to because those are real.
Yeah, man. Love it. For the Underdogs podcast, check it out. Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We'll have all the links in the description. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today, man. Taking some time away from the family and what you're up to spend some time with us. But hope you had a blast. I know that we did.
Oh, man, I did for sure. I appreciate you guys, man. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. Have a good Sunday, man.
Love it.
Thank you.
Talk soon.